to Pharmacytodose, the Critical Care Podcast. And I'm your host, Nick Peters. Wherever you are and however you are listening, thank you. Coming to you live, of course, from the Hyatt Regency. This is the first full day of the 2025 ACCP annual meeting. Just got done recording today's daily recap with 3 new Fellows of ACCP, aka FCCPs. Anthony Hawkins, Philip King, and Christine Groth, friends of the pod, co-workers, friends in general, people that have done a tremendous amount for pharmacy in general, coming to highlight not only their experience with the fellowship process, things they learned, what they would do differently. We talked through the fellow dinner highlights, benefits that they should get. We have a little fun, but also kind of give some good ideas for those who are maybe thinking about this in their future. So here we go. Coming to you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota, right at the ACCP annual meeting. I'm at a literal roundtable right now, blessed to be joined by not 1, not 2, but 3 inductees to the 2025 class, the ACCP Fellows, right? Future FCCPs. So we're going to go a little round table here. We're going to have them introduce ourselves. And then what we're going to do is just kind of talk through the process, have some fun. The application, of course, is known for being pretty cumbersome and large. So we'll talk through that, advice, all that sorts of stuff. We're going to review the Fellows dinner last night, all sorts of things. All right. So, of course, ladies first, to my right.
Hi, everyone. This is Christine Groth. I am a clinical pharmacy coordinator in critical care and emergency medicine at the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York.
Returning friend of the pod, of course. Hopefully you have heard the RSI Part 2. If not, please go, because Christine, one of the authors from the RSI guidelines. All right, keep moving across here.
Hi, my name is Philip King. I am a clinical pharmacist and co-funded faculty member between IU Health in Indianapolis and Butler University as an associate professor. So I'm in a dual role there, just practicing internal medicine day to day.
My co-worker, Indiana brethren here. Also, it should be noted, Philip, a taco enthusiast, and we'll rate them on the side. Okay, close us out, of course.
Anthony Hawkins, faculty at UGA. Work in a medical ICU.
Number 1, congrats. What an awesome accomplishment. Like, this is, I feel like FCCP is something that I always think is one of the, like, ultimate things you kind of think of from, like, a career perspective of reflection. So huge kudos to all of you. Huge work. Okay. So how long is this actual whole process? Like, from when you start working on your application, like, how are we talking months, years? What's the timeline for this sort of thing?
I mean, I want to say it's longer than you would expect. I want to say it's like somewhere towards the end of the year where you may get nominated by a current fellow. And I think you have to indicate whether you are actually going to proceed or not. So that give you an opportunity to respond to the fact that you've been nominated. I want to say is around February or so, and you submit your application by the end of April, and then it gets reviewed throughout the summer. And so that the outcome comes around June, July, August, and then here we are in October.
Now we heard how Anthony got notified. So talk us through, like, where were you when you got the message that said, congrats, you passed step 1?
Oh, I was just hitting refresh for about 10 days straight. And I was working with another friend of mine who was also going through the process. And so we were both messaging.
Shout him out.
Yeah,
right?
Dustin Carneal. Yep. He's a great friend of mine. We both went to Neomed, and so we were the first 2 at Neomed. So we kind of helped each other through the process. And he sent me just kind of like the side eye emoji in a text message. And I think he was wondering if I had gotten the same news or not. And I didn't have any email yet. So I'm like, oh no, because I actually did not get the fellowship the first year I applied. This is the second year I've applied. Okay. So I thought I failed. I failed again.
Nerves are even higher, probably, right?
About 20 minutes later, I think because my Gmail is extremely slow, it finally showed up, and I had that just sense of relief and peace in my mind again, like the hard work had finally paid off.
Wow. That's so cool. Okay, Christine, where were you? Do you remember?
Well, I'm a manager, so I was in a meeting, of course. Checking my email when I probably should have been paying attention in the meeting, and I saw it came through, and I was sitting right next to my director, and I'm like, hey, did those budget approvals go out yet? Am I approved to go to ACCP? And he's like, why are you asking? And then I told him. So it was a little, celebration in the meeting, and yeah, it was kind of cool.
So we're recording this before you all officially get inducted, right? So I think technically, do I have to call you future fellows? What's the preferred nomenclature to reference you? I'm just kidding. You guys are all fellows in my book.
You keep it secret.
He doesn't have.
I got no purple banner on my name badge.
But I will say they've listened in terms of I think they used to get inducted at 8:30 in the morning, like in previous ones. So I like that it's not only is it at 6 p.m., then we have this opening reception, so everybody's coming. I think you all should think about it as everybody's celebrating you and not the conference. So that's how you should kind of approach that, I think. But I like that they changed the whole celebration, because it's a big deal. Do you have to pay money to apply?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't remember paying. No, I don't.
Okay. I like it.
So.
And you don't have to pay for the actual graduation ceremony, like for the regalia or anything either.
Right.
Strong fellow class. A lot of notable names, friends of the pod. So I got to ask, is there any sort of group communication? Do you have a group text? Do you get added to any sort of specific listserv? If not, I feel like that's one of you guys should take it upon yourselves to try to do.
I do feel like for the future years, we'll know each other as our, fellow class of 2025. Also funny, Philip and I know each other from our merit group from 2016. And I think there were one or two others from our merit class that were inducted. So just seems like people are on a very similar timeline trajectory.
Yeah. But you don't know until they sent the email out with and then the list of people, so you all kind of find out at the same time. And yeah.
Other than if you might be reaching out, like Philip, you were saying, if somebody was doing it at the same time, you're communicating with them, but
right.
You have no idea the full list until we all find out, essentially?
No, they sent it to us as fellows.
Okay, you guys aren't getting an inside scoop here? What's happening? Okay.
Yeah. So we knew ahead of time for that, but I didn't know anyone that was actually applying until, so it was kind of nice to see some familiar names on the list.
So the FCCM, Fellow of Critical Care Medicine, you wear the robes and the gowns, full like you're graduating college. Is that any type of dress code here? Do you get full head to toe?
I sure hope not. Having sat through a lot of graduations and white coat ceremonies, wearing the full regalia as a faculty member, I sure hope not. But, if they were to bust something out, I'd wear it. If it was a chicken costume, I'd probably wear that too.
I'm sure if they did, you all would have had to pay some sort of fee or something by now, for sure, right? Yeah. So has this always been a goal, from when you all started? I think some people, when they start their career, right, when you talk long-term goals, right, some people will say, I want to be a fellow of X, Y, or Z. Is that where you all kind of started, or did your career kind of take you here in a sense?
I don't think it was a goal of mine. I guess I always thought of it as something that was, kind of the highest achievable thing that to be able to get. And I guess in my mind, I'm like, I don't think I would ever be able to do that. But then you get more and more involved in the organization. And just as your career progresses, my chief pharmacy officer at the time said, I'm seeing your name on a lot of ACCP things. Have you thought about fellowship? And I'm like, I don't know, not really. And then there is a sheet with all the points, so you can kind of look and see where you are. And I'm like, okay, maybe I do have this. Maybe I could get it. So that's when I started to get more serious about it and thinking about directing things that I was doing towards that, since I already had
kind of seeing maybe the areas that could be problematic in the application, essentially, and trying to target those.
Yeah, because I like being involved in pharmacy organizations. So I'm like, okay, well, where can I direct my efforts that would also, help me in that process, but also, continue to give back to the organization, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So was that like a couple year process that you were focusing on
I would say probably, the last couple years
Yeah.
is something that I thought more about it. Yep.
Because a lot of times, because the thing is like the things you have to kind of mark down or be involved with, they're not things that you can get done in a month or two a lot of times, right? They're commitments or things that you work up to a lot of times. So it makes sense that it would take a little longer for that. What about you guys? Is this something you would think about?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm actually, I was very fortunate because when I was, I think, just like a P1 or a P2, I had the opportunity at my institution at Neomed to be on the Dean's Advisory Council. And so here I was as a P1, and one of the individuals in that group was actually the executive director of ACCP, Mike Maddox. And he was so personable, and so I felt a connection to ACCP from my P1 year. And then I was fortunate to have mentors like Judy Jacoby, who was president during my PGY2, and also mentors like Brian Hemstreet, who was my mentor during my PGY1 year. And so with that influence, and then some of the other faculty members that I've encountered throughout my my training and my residency, it was about 3 or 4 years ago when Julie Murphy actually reached out to me, who was one of my preceptors at the University of Toledo during that first year of residency, and said, "Hey, I'm going to nominate you in a few years, and let me know if you feel like you can do that." And so I hadn't like seriously thought about it, but once I kind of went through that application, I said, you know what, I think if I did a few more things in this area and that area, that I may actually have a good shot at it. And so although it wasn't an obvious early goal, I think the mentorship really like pushed me in that direction without me really noticing that was happening.
Yeah.
That they were secretly like it's some scheme, but they were getting me towards that direction. I think that's what we really enjoy as clinicians too, is like we like to give back and invest in the next generation, and I was fortunate to experience that firsthand.
So you mentioned this was the second time you applied. So what, like, because there are, the passing rate's not 100% for these applications, right? So for those who have maybe applied and didn't get it, do you feel like you did something different other than obviously maybe strengthen specific areas? Do you think like you learned or did anything different from kind of that process? Because the resilience of that is so cool. Like there's a lot of people who I'm not sure that sort of rejection, getting back up and applying. So that's so cool, not only doing it and then of course crushing it and getting it. Like, so was there anything that like you kind of learned from that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess I didn't take enough time, and I put it all on myself. I asked someone for some early help, but I was in the middle of a whole bunch of other things going on that I didn't put the necessary time and effort into it. I mean, I was like 5 points short on it. And the feedback that I got, which is also something that's really helpful, is that if you aren't successful that first attempt, you do get feedback, and hey, here's some notable strengths in your application, and here's some opportunities where you could really strengthen that. And so I really took that feedback as, okay, if kind of where the point distributions are, like what are things that just reflecting that I can actually start doing that can help me be more well-rounded and be a stronger candidate. So the fact that I had that feedback, it is a short turnaround. So if you're far off and after that first application, and you aren't successful and you get that feedback, you don't have a whole lot of time to make up all these extra points. So that's why I would just recommend getting an early review, even if it's just looking through your CV and doing a crosswalk against the application and figuring out where are the most points that are available. And how do I stack up and where are my opportunities? Because you are going to need to do something in just about every category in order to be successful.
I have a follow-up to that. Did your application save, or did you have to fill it all out again?
It actually mostly saved.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also have experienced losing an evaluation, like in Pharm Academic, after I filled it out and spent all this time. So I'm a big copy, like saving multiple versions just in case.
I couldn't figure out how to save it, so I printed it because I'm like, if I have to do this again.
Yeah, I did save it as a PDF, and I
You
typed
submit scanned copies of it if you had to go back.
I typed a lot of it into a Word document just in case.
Okay, that's what I mean. It was a lot. It was a lot of work.
Yeah, I do remember at the end of the application, you could like export to a PDF and save, or also if you forget to save and you submit it, you get the feedback, but you can ask the committee, hey, I forgot to save it. Can you send me my application? But also, like y'all talking about your point systems, I do think there's two steps, right? There's definitely this very objective a point scheme.
Yeah. So hang on a second. The point scheme, it's out of 300. So your application, you get points for specific activities, and you have to meet at least 200 to be considered, essentially. So just for those who don't know, I just wanted to explain the point system. So
yeah, and that's just phase one, right? Step one of the application process. This is where yesterday we were talking about. I got the congratulations email that you made it past step one, that you secured enough points. But then there's step two that's much more subjective review of the committee, which is where I think the feedback may be more helpful. And maybe it's not as transparent. I don't know if they have a rubric, but I think that might be something that would be helpful as well. You have the score sheet where you get the points associated with each thing, but then you also have the rubric for how you're graded in the more subjective sense for phase two.
I mean, there's literally, when I look into this, there's a 29-minute video on like making your way through the application. So, okay, so we're kind of talking about it. What was everyone's least favorite part?
I mean, you really have to write out details of everything you've done and not just write down what you did, but the impact that you think that it had. I mean, there was a whole section to like just type out more detail of what it was. So it just takes a lot of time to do that.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of things that people do in their career, and by the time they go to fill it out, they don't remember it because it's not something you put on your CV. Maybe not what committee or what policy that you worked on at your hospital or things like that. Or carefully going through your CV, like Philip said, to cross-reference your CV to the point system. And there's probably a lot of things that you do that you're not associating with the application to give yourself credit for.
Yeah, I think, when you look at your CV, it's a bullet point list of things. There is no reflection built into it. So unless you have a system to actually write down and do that reflection that we tell our students to do all the time and all of our trainees, you're not going to remember many things. And so I'm fortunate coming from the faculty side of things too, is that I have to prepare for a dossier, which is a mountain of reflection. And so luckily I was also around the same time frame of preparing for a dossier. So I was reflecting on that and seeing how I can incorporate that into my FCCP application. But yeah, you do have to show not just what you did, but how you did it. What was the innovation behind it? What was the true impact? Did you publish? Did you present? And has it been adopted, by the other institutions if we're talking about a clinical service? So, and I think a lot of people were doing these things, but we don't necessarily see that they're going to connect to potential, fellowship status. So that's where, checking early and understanding what the process looks like, even if you're 5 years away from being eligible, you can start reflecting now so that it becomes a painless process when it's time to just put it all together and submit your application.
Did anybody did anybody have like notes with those sorts of reflections, like kind of planned, or was there a lot of like, all right, let's think back here. What do we? Because the thing is, even trying to think back and reflect is probably challenging. Like, because it's not like there's like great paper trails on a lot of these things that you're talking through, right? Like,
No, and AI can't help you with that.
What's that?
well, we should clarify. So yesterday when we said AI, we were talking about Allen Iverson. So today we are talking about artificial intelligence. We should make the clarification for that. Was there anything unexpected or something that surprised you about the process?
I think for me, I had, just went through Fellow for FCCM a few years ago, so knowing a little bit more about that process. I think just contrasting the two, Fellow for FCCM is a lot of because it's a specialty-specific organization, what have you done to advance critical care specifically? Whereas ACCP is what have you done for pharmacy and specifically for ACCP? And so, yeah, you may have done a lot of scholarship, but how did you leverage ACCP have you done posters or presented a session? So a lot of it was more organization specific.
Did you think your FCCM, like going through that process, like do you think that helped you with going through this?
It definitely did. I mean, you overcome the weird barrier of just like bragging with no humility about yourself. You know, you just like boast yourself so much. I think the difference, at least coming from the faculty member's perspective, SCCM is what have you done to advance critical care beyond what your job is requiring of you. And in faculty, I am expected to be innovative and to do things, to teach,
Publish,
and to publish.
et cetera.
Yeah, so it was a little difficult to, write my story for SCCM. It was a little bit more natural and maybe even easier to write what have I done specifically for ACCP.
I think I was a little surprised too by some of the things that didn't count towards it that you've done, because and I don't remember all the specific requirements, but a lot of like you either have to be first author or last author, or if you actually had an abstract, you had to be the person presenting it. Like there was definitely details where I was like, wow, there's a bunch of things on here, my CV, that I can't actually even include because they wouldn't count towards their requirements. So that surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the pieces of advice that I was actually given by someone who was a current fellow and was slated to review fellowships this past year, but not mine. He basically said that you should, if you're not sure which section, if it's eligible material, but you're not sure which section of the application to put it in both, because the reviewers are taught not to, even though you submit your CV, you cannot actually get awarded points for something that is in your CV that you didn't put in your application. There are no points allowed. And I think that was one of my missed opportunities, is that there were things that I did that I didn't necessarily think were relevant.
Yeah.
And so if you're unsure, go ahead and include it.
Yeah.
Within reason. And it may be okay to actually put the same thing in two separate locations to fit that objective, but and you're not going to get double points for it. I'm not saying that, but you're more likely to get the points instead of choosing the wrong one.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a key theme from a lot of this process is this is not done alone. So this is the shout out time. So is there anybody you want to give some thanks to? Because obviously not only it sounds like you get nominated, but there's people that help you through kind of the application process. So let's give some shout outs where they're due.
I think it is a rigorous, annoying process to just get an application and do it and save and work some more and save. So I already gave a shout out to our C3 intern, Zoe, but also just C3 in general, the collaborative, supportive nature.
UGA C3.
Hey, we just got to push through. Hey, application is due in 3 days. We got to make sure we are cranking it out. So just stay diligent. So I think just that kind of peer support and accountability is very helpful.
Yeah, I mentioned Dustin Carneal, another fellow inductee here.
Mm-hmm.
And, we just, coming from NeoMed, which is a newer program, and being the first two to get it, have the opportunity to get this fellowship, we spent a lot of time, on Zoom calls with each other. Hey, what do you think about this section? Or here's my CV. I think I should include this. What do you think? And it really made a big difference. I found opportunities. He found opportunities. It was really mutually beneficial. And just, my initial nominator, Julie Murphy, who kind of got me started and even thinking about this. And it's just, without the people there to recognize that you do have potential, it's hard to see that in yourself. And when you do see it, it's hard to believe it. And once you get this far and you can actually quantify your success, I mean, it's a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, Nicole Quisto. I mean, she nominated me. She's obviously gone through the process before, just helping me figure out like what sections I should put things in, how to word things to talk yourself up, because you never want to boast about yourself or feel like anything you've done is really all that great, but she helped me see the good of what I've done, and just encouraging me through the process, because as you're going through the application and filling out and you're like thinking to yourself, I'm going through all this work, I don't even know if I'm going to get it, and she's like, yes, you're going to get it, yes, you're going to get it, just having that motivation to keep you going through the process was super helpful. So
yeah, shout out Nicole, the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so other than, obviously, you're going to get the credentials, but is there anything else what other perks does fellowship get you, out of curiosity? Do they give you like a card, a member's lounge?
2 sad carrots with some cherry sauce on it.
We will be reviewing. We're going to put a pin in that. We're going to be reviewing the Fellows dinner at the end. Obviously, an invite to the Fellows dinner, because anytime is what I saw. And you're invited back. But is it? I'm guessing there's probably not a whole lot of like actual like physical gifts or things that you get from this. It's more of career and kind of a marker of all you've done in that. Is that? Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, there's probably some perks that they could do, kind of like at SCCM. You know, you get the lounge and different things like that. So that type of thing, I think, would
what
be,
could we name it?
Would be helpful.
Because we can't say select, right? That's taken. Like the ACCP. I was gonna say Alpha Lounge, but that's not bad. Okay, we'll think of it. But I agree. That's getting a Fellows Lounge is a good idea.
Yeah, I do like the idea of, every year they do have the Fellows dinner, where you get a +1, and that's an easy place to bring, a mentee that is either aspiring to be a fellow or whatever it may be. So then they can see what it's like and be in the room and say, hey, this is something I aspire.
Is that who you brought?
Yeah, yeah. I just remember, I think my second or third year on faculty, my department head asked me to be his +1. And so it was nice to, be in the room. I know yesterday, Susan Smith brought Emma Covington, who's a PGY1 resident, that, again, something she aspires to in her future. So I think it's a good way to pay it forward.
Yeah, I think the perks are, did we not talk about that we get to put FCCP at the end of our credentials? I mean, I'm not going to lie, I went ahead. They told us we don't change your title on anything. But yesterday I changed my title on the email signature, but I haven't sent an email yet.
Okay, wait a second. Let's go around.
It's there.
Has anyone else pre-changed any email addresses? Anybody have business cards coming? Anything like that? Are business cards even still a thing?
What's that?
Exactly. I love though that that was a question.
I've already updated the top of my CV, but it's not like I'm submitting it anywhere.
I probably would have done that the moment I got notified of that, right?
The Educational Affairs Committee of ACCP will be submitting a paper for publication maybe next month. But last month, when we submitted all of our author information, I went ahead and put FCCP after my name because I knew when it was submitted it would be past the time.
I had a similar experience. I'm like, I'm not supposed to do this, but I know this is going to be published after the fact, so can we include it?
I love it. You all did what everyone else would and does do, so I love that. Okay, so through this process, right, anything you would have done differently or advice to those who you think maybe are looking to become a fellow, either in the near or kind of foreseeable future?
Look at the point system ahead of time. Just get an idea of what you have or need, like to Philip's point, and is there anything that you could focus on for next year?
Understanding the details seems like that matters, right? Like you could think you have 10 abstracts, but if you only presented one of them, so looking at that seems like a really good idea.
Yeah, and really acknowledging that, to Christine's point, like it's first or presenting author or last author. And so you may have had a lot of posters that were presented at ACCP, but you're somewhere in the middle. And like you said, you don't get really credit for that. So I think those are little key details that you may slip up on.
I would agree. I mean, that point system is really your guide. And I started out with like an outline of just kind of like keeping track of where I thought I had points and just seeing where the gaps are. And I mean, do what you're passionate about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't like just solely rely on that, do things that are appealing to you.
And fulfilling.
And I think it will naturally, work out.
I think there's opportunities to kind of seek out mentorship programs within, let's say, your like College of Pharmacy that you graduated from, and recognizing like at these meetings, like who are people that have been gone through my institution, and just offering that. So that's something that Dustin and I just reached out to our alma mater, and we're like, hey, we just want to make sure we're available to others to help out, because we know how difficult it was, and I'm sure we can talk about some of those opportunities. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, we're a profession that loves to help, And again, we got here not by our own merit alone. It was by the help of others, right? And so we're ready to do it. And so if you see us, if you want to ask us a question, we'd be happy to help. And I think that would go for anyone else in the same position.
I mean, we have a real life pharmacy. It's a small world, right? Like you two here, you went to merit together, all those things. So very funny. Well, yes, congratulations again. And we're recording this before the celebration. Are there any special celebration plans for you three fellows? No, I'm getting shakes of head nods of no.
5 days in Minneapolis is the celebration.
Yes.
That sounds nice.
I actually have a friend here who lives here now that I grew up with. That
tell
was
us, like,
a
how long have you-
surprise visit with her, and her family's all coming tonight. So that's really exciting and personal to me. They're like my second family. So because my, husband and kids couldn't be here, so they're kind of fulfilling that role. So it means a lot to me that they would come all this way. To
Shout her out. What's her name? Because she was awesome.
Andrea Bales.
Yes, Andrea was great. Met her
Non-pharmacist, but
hey, still great.
I'm going to Disneyland. No, not really. And not the Mall of America either, although there are roller coasters there. No, my wife's here. She's a nurse. She's 7 months pregnant. Her name's Erica. So we're just gonna hang out. She took time away from the kids and work to come out here and celebrate this. So just spending time with her is gonna be a great thing today.
All right, now we got to talk through. So let's give a little review of the dinner last night. I will start, and I kind of expected a little bit. It's like a wedding, big sort of conference. Like how was everybody, like, what was everybody's favorite part of the meal? How about we do that? We're going to go a positive side. People seem to love the dessert. It was like a s'mores cheesecake. I thought the vinaigrette salad was pretty good. The listener should get a feeling for what we thought of the meal, of what we're kind of talking through, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
The dessert was really excellent. And there was like a little surprise like crumb at the bottom of the dessert cup. I don't know if everyone's like that, but it was like, wow, way at the bottom of there was like extra crumbs, like that should have been on the top. So it was just like this surprise at the end. That was amazing. But yeah, that salad was actually good. Like I thought it was a smoothie because it was like a pink dressing. I'm like, well, why would I put a smoothie on my salad? Turns out it wasn't a smoothie.
Yeah, we described it as Go-Gurt at our table.
Yeah, it's like this is what you pay extra for when you're in like Vegas. Like, do you want the topper?
Yeah, coffee at the end was a nice touch. Definitely the dessert, and open bar for 2 hours and 45 minutes was.
Okay, we've been focused on the food, but if all the budget went to the open bar, like I had no issue with that. It was a great open bar.
And this was a Fellows dinner, so it was by invitation only. And the people serving drinks were checking IDs.
Yep. Shout out to Susan Smith getting carded and being real mad about it.
She thought I was pulling my ID out, and she's like, I don't need your ID. I'm like, oh, but let me show you. Anyways.
Now, the question is do you think I was like, it felt like it could have been a little like a more area for everybody to mingle. Like a more central area, because it felt like it was kind of spread out along the room. I didn't even there were people that were there that I didn't even get to see on the other side of the room.
I definitely felt like I was at my own wedding reception where I went table to table and tried to talk to everyone. So I did navigate the room looking for people, knowing that I was going to skip out on some folks.
Anthony was the only one that did that, for the record. Going around like he's the groom. Oh, so good to see you, Uncle Mike.
I liked how Judy Jacoby did the speech, just being in critical care. I felt like that was just a cool experience to have her speak the year that I was inducted as a fellow, just having her close to my, specialty, and it was just really awesome.
And, we'll highlight, I'm going to try to get Judy on. There was incredible quotes, but can we just acknowledge the fact that Judy did a Yoda impression?
That was incredible.
And she crushed it, number one. But number two, I was like, that's why she's the queen. That's why there will be another.
Yeah, I looked over at Larry Cohen. I was like, did she just quote Yoda? I said that voice is legendary status.
She in person, like it was very good. It
was like, relearn you must, yes.
To quote Nick Peters, Judy impersonating yoga was not on my bingo card.
It wasn't. I was not expecting it, but I'll tell you what. I was in no matter what, but after that, I was on my seat. I'm like, oh, what else are we getting, right? Like, whew. But yeah, anytime. I thought some of the advice she gave, I thought one of the important points is like, don't get emotionally attached to sort of like your interventions or your clinical ideas and things. And I think there are a lot of people, it's very easy to be in that camp. I was at one time too, but I think there's tons of good messages. Yeah, we're going to try to get her on. She's the absolute best. All right. I think we're wrapping up. I appreciate all three of you. Literally, I'm stealing them like less than an hour before the celebration. Excited to honor you all. Hopefully, we'll have bottles of champagne spraying in celebration afterwards.
Yeah, I think Anthony brought the goggles, so we're all going to have that. We'll be in the locker room. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Do we have it all tarped out?
Definitely not.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, fellows. Oh, fellow, my fellow. Again, Christine, Philip, Anthony. Appreciate you all. And again, congratulations. Huge kudos to all three of you. Testament to all the things you do for pharmacy in general. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Another huge thanks to Anthony, Christine, and Philip. The days are so busy, not only them coming, but talking through the process, talking through their experiences, things they learned. Really, really great advice for anybody thinking of this in the future. Reach out to me at Pharmacytodose, T-O-Dose, Pharmacytodose@gmail.com. If you see me at the conference, be sure to come say hi. I got swag. But for now, we're going to finish. About to go to the Fellows ceremony and then hope to see everybody at the opening ceremony later. But until next time, I'm Nick Peters, and this is Pharmacytodose, the Critical Care Podcast.